Hello, everyone. Just freaking out because Skype's being Skypey, as you do. So everything seems to be up and running. I had to restart it 3 times. But you're listening to Revolution Radio, where we have production meetings live on air. This is Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean, and I'm doing 7 things at once, and that's just like, awesome and stuff. So, if you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to freedomslips.com or revolution.radio and donate what you can. Let's see, I can't spell. I know what that actually means. The mighty Harry actually donated to the station through me because, technical difficulties as well. And so, $76 worth of the US, which is roughly 100 Australian. So, we're helping out because we are 100% listener supported. So thank you for all your help. Big thanks to Tony and crew. And we have one of the crew who was Velcroed to the chair and hasn't left the studio. We'll get to him in a second. I think I'm up and running. I'm recording. I can see the chat room. I have people here to talk to. It's only been 7 days since the last Planet Collingwood, and I'm sure some stuff has happened, like a decade's worth, and I'm sure we'll try and unpack it. I have been joined by Cortek, Bruce MacDonald, Steve Zerilath, John Z, and Eagle Eye. Let's start with Stevie Z, or Stevie Z, because we're D-living at the same time, I believe. How are you, Steve?
Hey, how's it going? I'm all right. Yeah, I'm hanging out on D Live. I got a jump on it about 30 minutes ago. Kind of did a little pre-show for fun, talking about the Navajo people, and I ran a couple of clips of Navajo teachings, and that was neat. And otherwise, I'm just hanging out. I lost a huge mask battle. I'm no longer doing rideshare, but I'm doing okay so far on food deliveries. So now I'm a dasher.
Ooh, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds good.
DoorDash is a online food delivery service where it's like Uber Eats.
Oh, okay. So a positive door, a nick knocker, as we say here in Australia, where you knock on the door and run away, but you leave a nice present. So it's you're in the Santa Claus industries. Like I knock on the door, freak you out, but leave present. Excellent.
Yep, I don't light it on fire or nothing.
Exactly. And it's not poo, it's food, which ends up as poo. Anyway, I'm just following that through for no apparent reason. Who else do we have?
Poo on your doorstep in extra steps.
Yeah. Yes, you're doing service to others by helping other people sustain themselves. But it's American food, so who knows, it will probably kill them in the end. We have also been joined by our New South Welshman correspondent, Cortek. How are you, sir?
G'day, good, thanks. I have no opening routine. Hope that's okay. Brad?
Yeah, that's fine.
Bruce.
Well, speaking of Bruce, say his name and he shall appear. We have Bruce MacDonald. How are you, sir?
I'm all in, Monty.
Still? Oh, good. Yeah. But what is it this time? Because things have changed.
I'm still all in.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Good to hear.
I don't think the final card's been flopped yet.
No, it's just all.
What's the last one? The river?
It's a question of, is Don going through this impeachment nonsense to save himself or to do something impressive? He might just be saving himself, and then something impressive happens once it's done. But at this point,
what?
I'm gonna drink until liver failure, so that way they can't harvest it as an organ.
Well, that's one way of getting through whatever's happening. We've also been joined by John Z. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Sitting in 2 feet of snow with a cold.
You should go inside.
Thanks.
I'm waiting for summer to turn up. We're like 18 degrees Celsius, which is like, this is a cold spring day. It's not friggin' summer. Mind you, I don't want 42 degrees Celsius either, which is over 100 in Fahrenheit, because, everything melts. Like wood melts. That's how hot it gets. Wood actually melts. Cortek, you know what I'm talking
Roads.
about. Yeah. Well, yeah, road makes sense. You know, it rains and then it's the steam from the heat. We're also joined by Eagle Eye, who I started off by saying that he hasn't left the studio. So,
Hello, Monte. Hello, people.
Hello.
Eagle Eye, take your thumb out of the toaster, man.
Yeah, there seems to be a hum in the background, but it kind of sucks because it's just one continual note. There's no melody, no rhythm, just...
There we go. We're back.
Yes.
So it's a little warm east of East Perth there. It looks like you got a little fire going on there, Aussies. Hopefully that's under control right now.
Well, who knows?
Did they bring out the map of Australia that the whole thing's on fire again and show it to you overseas people?
Kind of.
I'll tell you a little bit of good news. I learned
okay.
I learned while doing a lesson on Imbolc, which was on the 1st of February when the snowstorm started, that they say that if you have like weather on Imbolc, it's like Groundhog Day, and if you have weather and the sun doesn't shine on Imbolc, it means that you get the early spring. So the groundhog didn't see its shadow per se.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Groundhog Day, which reminds me, I was going to watch the film, but as I shared a meme on Facebook, where day 303 on 15 days to flatten the curve. So it's
Got a home business idea for you, Steve.
Oh God, what's this?
You should work up a Norse calendar, and I'm only half joking.
Norse calendar.
You could probably sell it. Just go through their whole calendar. What days were special to them and why, and get somebody to do some black and white etchings. Yeah, you can sell it.
I think I could handle that.
And
that's
then-
one of those. That's
you're
one of
welcome.
those Saturnian things that's okay with me.
and then write 12 songs in black metal style, and you can release a soundtrack to your calendar.
I just want to get the monthly pinup art right. I need Tyr to be showing off all 5 of his fingers and all 2 of his nipples.
Right. Going back to Perth, the last information I had, because, if everything, reality is an illusion, not negative or positive, it's just like, I don't really care anymore. But the last information I got was 71 properties have burnt down, and apparently it started by a meth lab exploding. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Again.
Yeah, I get, yes, well, and also,
Some good stuff.
it's like, this stuff's on fire, literally.
At
and
least
interesting
doing
enough
math
is,
more exciting than doing math.
and also apparently they had, okay, see, I don't care and I've lost control. Also, they also had apparently 1 case of COVID, so they've shut down the entire state. 2.5 million people live on it's a third of the United States, from I guess Texas to the California coast. 2.5 million people live in that space, and they've shut it down because social distancing in Western Australia is not mandatory; it just happens.
It's just a way of life.
It's a way of life. It's like I've got one of the biggest ranches in Texas. My sheep station is the size of Texas, so that's how much space we have here.
I guess I need to say that they've locked it down, though, and
It'll be a full-blown government-sanctioned religion in a generation.
Not really, no, because I can see pushback because a lot of people are giving up. Like, really? Okay.
And I can see infidels.
Well, I mean, the president basically is up to 52 executive orders in 10 days or 14 days. So, yeah.
Wow, he's almost past his age.
He wrote one yesterday to remind himself to take a poop.
Well, did he though? Because I've seen footage of him signing a blank piece of paper where he said, "I don't know what I'm signing," and it's like, just sign it.
Hold on, Bruce.
I'm
You know that
ordering you
doesn't
to
matter
a bowel
because he already
movement,
forgot.
Joe.
He already forgot to wear the mask.
He's going to start referring to himself in the third person on live camera any day now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the beginning of a 6-month Section 25 on that guy. He's gonna just start. Joe likes this one.
And you know what? You're gonna see Bob Dole memes start popping up.
There you go.
Joe Biden.
Remember to read those notes to self.
Some late '80s Saturday Night Live reference. Folks.
You have the one with DiCaprio on the couch, pointing at the television with but it'll be Bob Dole's face on it. You know, when you see Joe Biden talking in the third person.
Oh yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Joe Biden like this.
I think also if they do the whole 25 thing, and they'll stretch that, that'll be a great distraction for the next 6 months.
Oh yeah.
And the media, have you seen how great the hard hitting questions the media have for Joe Biden? So, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Really? What about? No, yeah, it's chocolate chip apparently. Go ahead. Sorry.
The whole thing will be foreshadowed by a brilliant 8-part Netflix miniseries on coping with dementia and an older loved one in your family.
Yeah, and still Joe Biden, a hero who decided to become the leader of the free world while battling dementia.
Yeah.
It's just really, this is why I like hanging out with Andrew Bartzis, where it's create your own dream bubbles. Because the global narrative is utter crap. I think we skipped season 3, and apparently that was bad. I'm like, what, really? Because season 4 sucks. And this is where we're at. Just
I think 2021 is going to be some kind of a blender. It's going to be a blender. It's not going to go well for most people.
And I like Bashar, not the leader of Syria, but life is meaningless until you give it meaning. And so if you don't give that energy, engage, and where Joe Biden's terrible. Yes, he's a politician for 47 years, and what's he achieved apart from sniffing a lot of children?
It's fascinating if you can. I don't know if it's free or not. As a fan of the Farsight Institute did a remote viewing on the origins of Daryl Anka's connection to Bashar, and it's fascinating, and it involves a government facility.
I just take the information and use it for myself, so I don't really go with the story. But that, I wouldn't mind having a squiz at that, because I like a good story, be it true or not. So, like with Sam's of Time with Sean David Morton, if it's not true, it's still a good story, and I enjoyed it. So, I'm halfway through rewatching Taken, which was executive produced by Steven Spielberg. And
Taken was really good. Perfect casting on the little girl.
Yes. The interesting thing is, it's just there's only one race, and they're all greys. And if you hang around this station long enough, exopolitics and stuff, it's like, sure it is. One, and they're all bad.
There's Dark Skies. There's an alien abduction movie called Dark Skies, and it plays like a it's got a very almost like found footagey kind of vibe to it. It's sort of a haunted house.
Yeah.
This kid's been targeted by the Greys basically. Now what's really interesting is there's a scene in this film. It's the big exposition scene. They find the guy who's like an expert. Once they realize and accept that they're being stalked by aliens. They go to this guy who's he's definitely like Rev Radio conspiracy theorist level stuff, right? This older guy, and he's talking to him. He talks about yes, the Greys, and he shows this little book that talks about the alien stuff, and then there's the mantoids and the reptilians are right there on the page. And he mentions them, but then he dismisses them.
Oh yeah.
Like as exposition. Like he didn't have to say a darn thing about it at all, or at least just say like, oh, those are two others. We don't know if you have to worry about them. And nothing like that. It was very dismissive.
Yeah, I think
on purpose.
I think,
and
yeah.
I've never seen that kind of disinformation. Like they're literally doing like disinformation on exopolitics in an obscure horror movie.
I would I would watch Dark Skies and then watch the David Icke documentary about the reptilians all through human history. You know, being sky gods and alligators. It's like, wait a minute. Like, there's all these ancient civilizations that what starts with an R?
Yeah. It also depends on your reptilian, because not all reptilians are the Drake reptilian empire.
a good example of that is pointing out, like, can you pick one human that actually represents humanity? Because you'll be there for a while. Like, I mean, there is a slight difference between Florence Nightingale and Jeffrey Dahmer.
What would that be?
Well, one's a
They both
woman.
They both like pottery, I believe.
They have this fascination with human body. Yes, that is true. So, I mean, just
assume their gender.
no, I didn't assume it. I based it on skeleton. That's I get in trouble with the LBGQP ×3 thing, because I judge everyone on the skeleton, because in a house fire, that's how they figure out who you are. I don't really want anyone to go through what gender I'll have to go through a house fire. No, you don't have to do that. So yeah, I judge people on skeleton.
Being an arsonist.
No, I wasn't in Perth. That's not me. It wasn't my meth lab. So, so much has happened. We're like, hi, we'll just talk about pizza for 45 minutes, I think.
I think it was two dudes out in a van out in the desert of Perth somewhere.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bad. Oh, Breaking Bad Oz style. Steve, what are you doing? Boom.
What are you doing out the back of the pano again with all those tubes and stuff?
You've been talking to Susan again. I told you to stay away from her, mate.
You can talk about pizza, but just not about Pizzagate.
Well, no, that's old hat. Like, yeah, that's the other part of. That's the other thing. Is like, we have new listeners. Is like, all right, let's go back. 9/11. Have you heard of it?
But,
Two planes, 3 buildings. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, you raise an interesting point. As we rethink this whole Trump thing, and
Are we in a wind tunnel?
no, that's a heavy. Yeah, there's a really strong storm coming through the south part of Costa Rica.
Okay,
we don't get hurricanes, but this is about as strong as it gets.
Okay, so that is actually okay. Yeah, I was wondering if that hum was back and it's just gone to whoosh. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, I forget what I was saying. Oh, yeah. Why did they take the political narrative to such an extreme with Trump if it was all orchestrated? There's so many things about the negative narrative. Trump was part of the whole thing and everything. That I don't dismiss them, but I can't put them into any kind of a cohesive puzzle. Right? Am I the only one?
Right. It's trying to, when you know as much about the details that we do, you're trying to rationalize how there isn't a plan, and we're not. And most of us here are very, very critical of the number 17. We're talking about a plan because we look at Flynn, we look at Trump, we look at actual people with faces and names and histories and biographies and comments and records.
Oh, actions. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not that hard.
Well,
I'm glad that they're done. I'm glad that there won't be any more drops because they cancel the 8chan thread. We'll get some time to breathe.
Or nothing will happen. So that's just an option. We're like
as nothing happens, it weakens the psyop because that's all we got if Trump didn't have his own plan.
Well, also, I think, my view of the bigger picture is that Trump stepped out and Biden stepped in, and by Biden's actions just proves how utterly crap he is as a politician. I have no idea about humanity because, the central his CPU and his brain slowly melting. However, there's so how many people in who voted for Biden have buyer's remorse now because of just like he's done what? Like in the first day, he got rid of up to between 11,000 and 42,000 jobs by getting rid of that pipeline. Interesting enough too, where people are pointing out, they got rid of the pipeline. Yeah, so now all that oil and gas has to go by road and sea, which is more dangerous. Like, ooh, let's start looking at pipelines again. And this is what I mean. Where anything, like if we go Team Dark, anything they do now, it's so transparent and it's hypocrisy at its highest level. People are seeing it, and instead of like, oh, okay, he can do that, it's like, wait a minute, like joining the Paris Accord. Apparently, the United States is below the numbers already than the Paris Accord. Like, if you go through the whole greenhouse carbon scam, the emissions are lower than what's set in the Paris Accord. Except now you've joined the Paris Convention Accord thing, and you have to pay all this money. That's the difference.
What's the catch?
What's the catch? Well, yeah, you were saving the planet, but can you save the planet and give me $1 trillion?
You shouldn't have to pay money for these things to have a better initiative worldwide, should you? I mean, what? It's for the limousines, or it's for the junket hotels, or what's the deal? Over.
Was the change of the guard by vote, or was the change of the guard by chance, or was the change of the guard by script?
Well, you'll have to ask the corporations that actually control the United States.
There you go. Who controls the corporations?
Well, no, not the stockholders, obviously.
The corporations are still in some sort of a competition. They're winning. They're winning like everything. I mean, it might be that the competition is over now, but we have to remember, we have to make sure that we're framing things properly because, since the dawn of politics, people have been talking about, the integrity of the vote and its relationship to how people wheeled and dealed to get political favor, and understanding how all of that works dynamically. And the big problem is that we've now shifted into where those original rules, which had a certain corruption to it, now all of a sudden have legislation attached to it to hold that corruption, and that's the problem.
Interesting. Are the words integrity and dominion going to come together at any point, or is that going to be too far from each other?
Sorry to interrupt, Eagle Eye. I have to point this out. You and your critical thinking, we have to have a sit down and have a chat about that. You go around making connections based on fact. It's going to end badly, my friend.
Monty, I wanted to pull the red card out on you before, You can't,
is that a euphemism?
I'm sorry.
I was just trying to find the edge pieces on the puzzle first. You solve the puzzle,
I need to
separate the edge pieces.
I gotta go to re-education camp, Monty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but which one? Like the AOC one, or just this is where we're at, people. Where usually we just find
where the goose step.
The goose step. Yeah.
I like the clown college.
Well, you mean the capital?
The one, the one where you get big shoes and stuff.
Yeah, these pants fit perfectly. They're supposed to be baggy. Why aren't they baggy? I realised too in the last 2 weeks I can actually do a pretty good Alex Jones. See there's Clockwork Owls and they're making the frogs gay. I just need to write material for that to use that voice. So
not bad.
Yeah, it's basically just smoke for 2 decades.
You burn your voice in a minute.
No, not really.
Did you see the little music video that's out on InfoTunes? The BitChute channel with Alex Jones doing that interview with Jake Angeli, the Viking Horns guy.
No.
Was that recently?
It's funny.
Since what happened, or before?
What's that?
That's not since what happened, or is it before he interviewed him? Before?
It's since, because
he only
only ever talked to Alex once. That was after the 6th.
Okay.
This was before he had checked in with the FBI, which was before there was a warrant out for his arrest when he checked into the FBI. But anyway, they do. It's mostly Alex, but they have the "you keep interrupting me" is like part of the chorus. I mean, the whole thing is kind of a chorus, but it's a whole auto tune. It's got a really, really funny beat. I highly recommend it.
Just looking into the Revolution Radio chat room, and they're talking. The moon is flat. That was posted by Up, or is it pronounced Oop? I'm not sure. But that reminded me of a meme that I saw, I think today, where the sun said, what happened to the planet Earth? Moon, what happened? And the moon's the Death Star, and the planet Earth's all crumbled, and it tripped. So a bit of Star Wars humour there. And I'll just mention Doctor Who now, because I have to do that at least once a show. So anyone buy any GameStop shares?
No, but I thought that was interesting.
What happened with that? I've seen rumblings, but I don't know.
Basically, a group on Reddit decided they were discovering hedge funds were shorting stock. Basically, they were betting on that stocks were going to fail, and then they can actually benefit from it. And this small group, it's over 100,000 people apparently, but there was a group of people, a Reddit group, decided, you know what, let's buy this and pump up the price, and the hedge funds will lose money. And the last number I heard was like
or
70 billion.
Buy it at a higher price.
Yeah.
Because
when they do a short, apparently they borrow the shares and they hopefully sell it lower, and they make money that way. But by the price going up, they actually have to buy the shares and then give the shares back or something. They're losing money, and there's billionaires out there crying because these people have 5 boats, and and they're hurting.
Elon Musk. Didn't Elon Musk egg people on to do that? Like, didn't he suggest it first?
Probably. But in the last week, since last Wednesday, because this happened all just before the weekend, so I think they spiked on the Friday and it freaked everybody out. There was a push apparently to do the same for silver, but it looks like that was the central banks trying to do it, and it fizzled out.
That looked like a sign-up to me, or just trying to cash in on the same thing that made GameStop work without understanding what's gone into it and the community that's propelled that.
Yeah, and so that basically, I'll just say something and then hand over to the mighty Eagle. That just proves how the demons can only manipulate and angels create, because we've got an idea. Let's use the stock market the same way that the banks do and hurt the banks. And now the banks are like, oh, let's try and make some money back, and so we'll use the same idea, but instead of just having one group or forum go, okay, everyone do this, they spread it across the internet, and there was actually articles on it, and that's nothing sus at all. Go ahead, Eagle.
Yeah. And they had to blame, of course, on somebody. So who to blame, right? Someone living in their parents' basement in their sweatpants, right?
They somehow made that line to Trump supporters.
Isn't that amazing how that all works?
Well, they made that line to Trump supporters because they made that line to, guess who? The Russians.
Which would mean
they went straight
Trump.
to the Russians on this one, guys. And this, I think the silver thing as well. Silver's apparently rising or something.
Yeah, they were trying to do the same thing, but as I was explaining, you don't tell everybody what you're going to do, especially a week after it just happened to something else. And so it's like, run by psychopaths, ruled by psychopaths, run by idiots. This was a good idea. Everyone, let's do this one.
It was like Ricky Martin after he had Ricky Martin had some smash hit. Here we go. We went and FIFA board or something like that, or some maybe the other way around. But then he goes, oh, that was my first song. What do I do for a second song? Why don't I make exactly the same song?
Yeah, but that's entertainment and advertising for you, because Star Wars came out, and then 45 movies with the same exact structure of Star Wars came out. Tron is an example. I like Tron, don't get me wrong, but you can go, well, this is just Star Wars, because there's the Luke Skywalker is Jeff Bridges, there's an Emperor, there's Darth Vader, there's a princess, there's the wizard, and it's just the same formula, because that works, people like that, and they and that's when they have waves of things. But in this example, it's like, oh, that's screwing everyone. And there's the thing of hold the line, don't sell if the GameStop people sell their stocks, the numbers will start going down or something. And cryptos involved somehow, and my head hurts. I'm the second wave of that. Like, if everyone makes money, I'll be an artist and sell things, and because people have money, they'll spend it. So that's my thinking.
Look, man, I'm just saying that derivative markets is the most useless way to make money I've ever heard of. Am I wrong? Like somebody talk to me.
Well,
like, anywhere where a derivative market is a good thing for like the wealth of a nation.
Well, no, because do they create anything positive, and are they helping people? No. Go ahead, Eagle.
I just thought it was rather humorous that one of the more intelligent decisions against the cabal and against their financial attempts, they blame it on some kid living in their parents' basement.
Yeah,
you have to admit that dichotomy is how they throw that out there. They're not going to realize it because I know exactly who did it, but of course everyone else does too. But we don't need to repeat it this time.
No,
but I mean, yeah, it's just amazing, how things can kind of take off, shall we say, to the Great White North, like in Canada. Maybe Bruce could comment. What's going on with Canada, Bruce? And Canada and France are hitting us with this PR with all this lockdown crap.
He's in Costa Rica. He's about as knowledgeable as Canada as any of us.
Well, no.
Oh, okay. Well, what's going on?
He's got family and friends in Canada.
Yeah.
What's going on where now?
Well, if he's going to fly back to Canada and visit his family, what does he got to go through? Because it's obviously a big thing going on in Canada.
Well, I think they've locked down all the planes. Basically, he should actually join that migrant caravan that's coming up from Guatemala, and he'll get there quicker by walking. So, Bruce, the question is, as an expat Canadian, can you give us a Canadian report?
Well, I mean, Canada's always in rough shape, right? We have one of the worst prime ministers we've ever had. He's one of the leaders of the push to do Klaus Schwab's reset. If not overtly, then certainly tacitly, because what all of the countries that want to do it are doing now is they're breaking their banks. They're getting into debt situations that are unpayable to give you a no-choice situation on the Great Reset. Biden's jumping on that train too, right? So it's all about grinding these economies into the ground now. So expect the COVID to go all through this year. More small businesses are going to be wiped out. Most of them, if not all of them.
It seems like they're ramping up the quarantine from going border to border, and then also leaving the whole country in total. I mean, they're extending it. They're pushing up the harder,
Well, the interesting thing from a US perspective, it doesn't look like it's based on health. It's all political. Dr. Fauci last week said, "Oh, yeah, wear double masks," and now 7 days later, there's no data saying that would work. And
I thought he said that would completely wipe out racism if you did like double.
No, that's a meme. That was a meme.
Oh, is that not real?
Yeah, you wear 7 masks and racism's cured.
Yeah.
And of course, the great it's a respiratory disease, and so the Chinese are now doing anal swabs. I don't know how many people in the call actually breathe through their bum.
I heard that story, but I didn't know who was doing it and if it was real or not to believe it or what was going on.
Well,
is that a fact?
Well, if it's not a fact, someone's pranking real hard because they've actually got a guy in a white coat practicing doing an anal swab on a bent-over mannequin.
Yeah, that white coat wouldn't last long.
They've got to set a point amongst the obedient where like all they have to do is occasionally make a gesture of amping up on things like masks or whatever, to give you a certain sense that there's a new higher threat level of COVID happening, like a little contagion spike is going to pop up, and then this just keeps you from letting your guard down. They don't want you to let your guard down, because if you let your guard down, you might want to have like a house party. You might want to, start having various kinds of private gatherings that are not really small.
Oh, you mean like the elite are doing right now?
Well, precisely that for one thing, because those kinds of things, then can eventually lead to political things also, because we don't have any kind of public commons or private commons. People will have to meet in their homes if they want to practice their First Amendment right.
That's about as interesting as a coffee table on Boxcar Homo Love.
I love that show.
That didn't come out right. There was more consonants in my head. It rhymed. That was less interesting. What was I going to say again? That was less interesting than a coffee table book on Boxcar Hobo Love. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting enough, though, here in Australia, there's been that idea of the home is the dangerous place, because if you meet people, you can get COVID. And so, like, if it's, it's that cognitive dissonance where the only place you could do your free speech is at someone's house, which is, basic logic, because all the pubs and clubs and everything else is closed, and then they say you can't go. The most dangerous place to get COVID is your household. Okay.
I saw something during the week, which is people jumping on the Great Reset kind of moniker and making something called the Greater Reset. It's a URL called freedomcells.org, and it's actually just trying to bring local people together and make communities from people around you. Well, the idea was good. It's not for profit. It's just trying to do something better,
It's
face value. I've not checked it out.
It's the parallel society. The only way that this works is you do your own thing with other people, right? This is a reevaluation of in short, Soul Tribe. All right, everybody, the only way this ever works ever again, and you're gonna have your those parties again and all that stuff, it's gonna have to be actually personal. It can't, the superficial age of going out and dancing at a club around complete strangers, that's never going to be the same again.
No, don't believe you. I'll refuse.
Well, what if I wear two masks?
Yeah, on your face.
Two masks, though?
Forget about that. This is beyond the mask. This is about paranoia of other people. Everything is about separating you and me. It's about making it illegal to hug and shake hands.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, this is
trying
about,
to do that, but
despite the fact that they told you as a guideline that if you were 6 feet apart from somebody, the mask is not that necessary. You go into a plenty big store where you can socially distance, and you still have to wear the mask because you're inside, despite the fact that you've got ass loads of space. Why?
I refuse to say or believe that I'm not going to be at a festival dancing with other people again.
Well, yeah, because they won't consent to that idea, and also the mask does protect me from a $200 fine. So it's basically tyranny in politics and not health-based.
Ass loads?
Yeah, I picked up on that too. My comedic brain just went like, wow. How big is an ass load?
I'll leave that for later. I'll come pick that one up later.
That's a lot of how big's your ass. But I understand what Steve was saying. Don't get me wrong. It's like just picking up. I'm in a silly mood, and why not? What did David Icke actually? I'd rather be insane in an insane world, insane
in the membrane.
Well, yeah, there's that too. Yeah. I feel sorry for the last year being in lockdown. Everyone that has a relationship with drugs, you've had an interesting time, haven't you? Because there's not much money, you can't travel somewhere. Yeah, withdrawal. That's fun.
Hey, I picked up on something with Craig Kelly at over there at Planet Collingwood there at the club. What's going on with this guy? Is he a technocrat thinking he can tell everybody what to do with COVID stuff? I mean, who is this guy?
Well, no,
Who does he think he is?
He's multifaceted, so you can't just judge him on one thing. But one thing that he has done, he keeps finding scientists and backs it up with data. It's really weird. And of course, it's not part of the COVID narrative, and so that's why he's a pariah now in the media. It's like, oh, he's a villain. He's insane. He's just, because the mainstream media is pushing what they're told to instead of like, well, this scientist says that doesn't work, and look, here's the actual data.
So he's teaming up with some experts. Then it seems like. Mm-hmm.
Some experts, yeah, not the ones on the outside, because like. All of last year, how now I think the Droxy's back apparently, because the thing is, because Trump's out of office, anything that they've changed now from what happened last year to now, it's mostly political. Like, Trump's out of office for a week in California. Oh, we'll open up now. Like, nothing sus. And that's just one example where there's all this stuff. We hate Trump so much. Like, we're not having the vaccine because Trump's involved. Trump's gone. Oh, we're going to have the vaccine now. The only thing that's changed at a basic level is Trump's not president, and so all these changes are happening. And it's just showing it's mostly political, and as Steve was pointing out, like trying to control humanity and keep the general public down. And that's why the stock market's freaking out, because one of the plebs, one of the peasants, has figured out our money trick. And we can't have that.
Did they try and slow down or stop the market after that game?
There's an app called Robin Hood. Irony. But they actually suspended trading on their app because there's a big put in. It's even Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren came out and defended the hedge funds. It's like, I love the term apocalypse, which means unveiling, because
somebody posted a really great short video someone made on Gab, and it's like a joke sympathy video for a particular hedge fund executive or something like that. And it was great for me because Greenwich, Connecticut, the town that I am in, is the hedge fund capital of America. And they cite Greenwich in the video. And I thought that was just fantastic. This guy understands, exactly what's up with hedge funds, because Greenwich is what's up with hedge funds. So my town was attacked by this, which amuses me to no end, despite how much I love these people.
Hey, Steve, really, it's really up though with Steve Zerilath, D-Live, right? Let's get honest now. Come on, right? D-Live.
Yeah, we're on D-Live. Stop being weird.
Have you met Eagle? Stop being weird. It's been 6 years. Stop being weird.
Cool.
Not disagreeing. Just go ahead, Bruce.
You drinking that Italian coffee again, Eagle Eye? What's going on there, buddy?
No, I've been listening to a rap by this guy named Tom MacDonald. It's called Fake Woke.
Yeah.
By Tom MacDonald. Fake Woke. Been listening to some music and a little bit of that kind of stuff. Different kind of coffee,
Yeah, he's been relaxing, and why not? It's once again, I did air quotes, and it's an audio medium, so why am I doing bunny ears? It's stupid. But as if you look at everything, it's everything's insane. Instead of actually, the world's ending. Well, part of it is.
It was but Joe Biden. Oh, go Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah. I honestly can't figure out what's going on, man, and I defy anyone to make sense of it. Seriously,
that's.
Let me give my evidence first. Antifa shows no signs of abating under a Democratic presidency. Number two, Joe Biden has indicated he's going to return to the 2015 Iran deal. Netanyahu has stated publicly, if that happens, Israel will attack Iran. They feel they have no choice. So there's a lot going on here that doesn't fit into any one puzzle piece.
No.
You know, it's eerie. You know, it's just eerie, man. I liked it better when the evil plan.
I'm sorry,
Steve. I liked it better when there was an evil plan. At least I knew what was happening tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you're watching a movie, but what, did the screenwriter take heroin now? What's going on with the plot? Like, there's no plot at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the writers are on strike. The production people with Biden are on strike. I mean, that's the lowest quality White House production ever. It's creepy. Everything is eerie. like Eagle Eyes coming off mute.
Well, the Biden administration has actually they started up Twitter accounts for all their dogs. You know, apparently there's a pandemic on and people are losing money and starving. But it's what was the name? The office, the White House paw. They use paws as a pun, and they actually they spelt out woof. Woof, 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 20 times, and then I will translate it. Like, really, this is the top level. It's supposed to be saving America, and they're concentrating on a tweet from a dog.
Do you think? Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Fun fact: Jen Psaki, who is the person who's supposed to make the White House look good, because she's the press sec, she's also from Greenwich.
Yeah, so we'll circle back.
Karen.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that.
It's Karen in charge of optics for the White House.
That creepy ginger lives in Greenwich?
Yeah, she's from Greenwich.
What does she turn into on a full moon?
Chucky the doll.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Good work with the iron chair there.
I actually seen someone do that on Twitter.
Like Hope Hicks is also from Greenwich. So, like, you know, it's a mixed bag. Trump is in Greenwich, has friends in Greenwich. So it's a mixed bag. Like I said, like, it's a mixed bag here. There's some evil people, but, you know, they kind of keep to themselves. And then there's good people, and they're the ones that are out and about. You know, most of them are unconscious, but doesn't mean they're bad people.
You just described Earth, Steve. There's some good people.
I'm letting you know that Earthlings live in Greenwich. There may be some demons spread among them, but they're Earthlings.
Yeah, but
don't nuke us. I live here.
Well, no. We've been told that nuclear warfare will not happen because the aliens will step in. I think on both sides, because the good side, like, no, don't do that. We're not starting again. And then on the bad side will be, don't get rid of our herd. We're making a lot of money from loose, you idiots. So that's why I don't think the New World Order. They'll probably have the fear of the New Order coming in constantly just to amp up the adrenaline and taint the loose and all that type of stuff, but they won't actually employ, because, like, which farmer wants to get rid of 85% of their herd? Like, think business. Like, if you've got a product, we're doing really well. Oh no, we'll just get rid of 90% of the herd, and we'll just survive on that. No.
See, the problem is that the herd has been severely diminished by the anti-human trafficking efforts that were present globally for the last 4 years.
I was talking galactic. And, you know, we're told there's 7 billion people, but
we're talking about the Earth part in that.
Yeah, but still, if maybe that the human trafficking, that's a good thing. Get rid of that's a good. I finished the sentence. That's a good thing that it stopped. Don't clip that. Human trafficking. That's a good thing.
This is why we must speak like Yoda. Subject first.
Well, yes, that is true. However, just if you feed off energy of the populace, it's better to have the threat of a New World Order than an actual New World Order. And yeah, they're all idiots. I mean, he's like, just have you seen AOC? Apparently, she made the whole Capitol building about her attack. My perspective is they call it an insurrection and a coup. And so, like, well, I thought they went in to stop a coup, but that's just me.
I thought they were calling it an erection.
No, that was a Chinese man just talking about a building he wants to build. You know, I build erection for you.
I think there was actually a politician guy who said it as well. I can't remember his name.
Well, no. The thing is
Schumer.
Like 3 people, Schumer plus 2 other people, have Freudian slipped that in the mainstream. They keep saying erection, and they don't even catch it that they mispronounced it.
No, and some people have this strange idea. And some people have.
I'm sorry, they do. They do actually. But it's still weird.
Oh yeah, but there's some idea that all these people have strange sex parties. So Freudian slip's not really out of it. They're just thinking about. Go ahead, Eagle.
Did you hear the good news? Yeah, they finally found Jack Ma. He resurfaced, and his company posted a profit. Is that crazy?
Oh, the Japanese. The Chinese.
The Chinese. His elbow. Which part?
Yeah, was he all in one piece?
Well, he was labeled like the supposed up-and-coming Jeff Bezos of that industry. Jack Ma.
Yeah, we get that.
There was a question.
How's he doing? What's his circumstances? Is he under arrest?
He's resurfaced. He's alive, and his company just posted numbers that were positive. So
you knew how you mentioned that whole re-education camp. He just came out of it.
Was that the Alibaba guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alibaba.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
at the same time, hold on, Steve.
And rewarded him for surviving brain surgery by being a slave to a very, very successful CCP affiliate.
I don't think it's really a reward. It's more about saving face. That's how the Chinese like to work.
Hey, listen. Xi don't like talk like that, man. We have to make Xi happy if we want to stay on the.
And I'd like to add all hail Winnie the Pooh. Back to you, Eagle.
I just thought it was interesting how then Jack Ma resurfaced and then Jeff Bezos announced that he's stepping down. It's just kind of like, there's a little bit of an interesting
interesting
figures.
The big shifting at the top level of corporation type thing. It's interesting though. All last year, mail-in ballots are fine, and then after Trump lost, there's going to be a union mail-in ballot, and Bezos is like, we can't do that. No, that's not trustworthy.
Bezos has caught a lot of flack over the last, ever since March when his kind of wealth has tripled or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think he's having an enjoyable time anymore from that label being put on him, just walking out in public. I think people scowl at the dude now.
Really, the man who can actually end world hunger is having problems. That's terrible to hear. Apparently, one of the hedge fund managers is like, it's terrible time for me. I'm renovating my $44 million house at the moment. Like, poor baby.
Really crying for you.
Yeah. Now we're coming up to the break. We're coming up to halftime, so we'll be going into the dressing rooms and me sucking on some oranges, and then we'll be coming out and changing sides. And so if you enjoy the last hour of Planet Collingwood, remember to donate to freedomslips.com to keep the station on air. Good night, Bruce. Thanks for popping in. He's got like a job and stuff, so he has to actually have sleep. And I may bring in that up in the next hour of like how everyone's sleep and dreams are going, because mine are just going a bit nuts and insane. Like I don't have a pattern. I sleep when I need to. Apparently, those 2-hour naps. I actually have 2-hour naps from waking up. I go to bed, wake up in the morning. Oh, cool, and then have a 2-hour nap because I've woken up. What's all that about? Anyway, you're listening to Planet Collingwood here on Revolution Radio. My name's Monty Dean. You're awesome. Stick around just after the break, and we'll continue on just being silly by talking about serious stuff and silly stuff at the same time. Anyway, see you soon. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Zeus. Release the McRib. I'm only doing that because there's an echo. I'm just waiting for the echo to go away. I love you, Monty. Oh, thank you. I've always loved you from afar. Thank you very much. It's still there. This could go for an hour. And it's gone.
The new sandwich at Macker's, the Kraken.
Yeah, it's murder on the teeth. You are listening to Planet Collingwood here on Revolution Radio Studio A. If you enjoyed the last hour, please donate to the station so we can continue having on in our 11th year. Or is it 10th year? I'm a time traveler. Help me out here. 10 years. We started on January 1st, 2011. That feels like an eon ago. Nearly said a lifetime, but that was last year. And once you've donated, you can also go into the Zazzle store, buy some merch, mugs, key rings, t-shirts, onesie for the little ones. There's also a Patreon aspect as well, so if you just want to pay $10 a month to help out the station, I think you do get some bonus material, which is good. I mean, there's 80 hosts. I'm sure someone will come up with something. And then pop into the chat room with like-minded, like-hearted, and just liked people. Dare I say love, but from afar, because we're global, baby. I watched all of the three Austin Power films. Oh, behave. And so, yeah, that's just really odd. That's 97, 99, and 2003. So weird watching a movie from 20 years ago. So, I have been joined by Cortek, Steve Zerilath, John Z, and Eagle Eye, and I'm about to bring in another guest. So, gentlemen, chat away, chat away.
Something I was bringing up before I kind of stepped on Bruce's toes trying to respond to something he said, and so I stopped, was because he can't get quite that fix on what's going on, what's real in the world right now. That's because all of the distorted assumptions have shifted or were removed in such a way where now people are starting to see a very different global chessboard emerge as we're looking at reactions to certain things. The mysterious troop movement into Syria that doesn't have a Biden White House much of an explanation. The overthrow of the very pro American Democrat Myanmar leader in a military coup, as they call it. Perhaps, although I'm imagining it's more of an insurrection act kind of thing, which is why people are reacting to it in these particular ways. Military brass may not be quite amused with the events of the last 4 years all over the world. So you're getting a very, very interesting perspective on what all of the real deals, the deals that we don't know, that these foreign leaders made with the president, coming to fruition. And so that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it's like, if I can use an analogy, I saw it. It's a great cartoon. Superman and Batman are holding a press conference, and Superman's talking about Lex Luthor. And Superman says, Lex Luthor is just a billionaire with too many toys and too much time on his hands. And Batman moves in his chair uneasily. So that's kind of what we're seeing with the whole Burma, Maya, or whatever it is. But anyway, someone who is a superhero called Viking, as I try and think of a segue. The Viking, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Monty. How's it going, everyone?
Yeah, good. Just not in an I don't care phase. I'm just in a lighthearted mood where we'll just make fun of everything, because the planet in this moment now is odd. Is that the official term? How do you see the planet? Oh, sorry, Eagle, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say hello, Viking. Nice to be here with you. Good to hear your voice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure and an honor. It's all in perfect order, Monty. It's exactly where it should be, and we're progressing beautifully as far as everything kind of taking its positioning. It's like we're going into a proper alignment here, where I feel that I'm still in the front line. I still got my cap and ball. I'm boots on the ground. I'm not firing until I see the whites of their eyes. It's like we're still in position for this whole thing to have a turnaround. It's just a matter of timing and positioning, and we're getting really close here. a lot of scuttlebutt about the RV and the reset. As far as currencies go, as far as silver finally making a break this month, huge movements in the silver market, in the comics and the shorts and the banks. There's 6-7 banks that are heavily invested in these shorts, and they're losing billions of dollars. And they're going to have to do some fancy footwork in order to recover it, which I doubt that they will. So we very well could see in the next 30 to 60 days the demise of the COMEX market, and how it's been completely manipulated through the SLV and GLD. It's just so much starting to line up here. And again, as far as the reset goes and the currencies, and I think everything will happen once again they're looking at March 4th as being the point in time where Trump will take his tenure as the 19th president of the United States, which means after Ulysses S. Grant, when we became incorporated, then we went into a whole other regions of governance. He's going back to constitutional law. He's already formed the Patriot Party. So it's extremely exciting here as far as Syria and Israel, and that's all pantomime. I mean, they talk about invading Syria. I don't know anybody who's come forth from Syria and said that they've been invaded. I find it hard to believe because the military wants nothing to do with Biden. The military. We're living in two worlds. We have the Biden, facade game show, a puppet show. And then we have another world where the military is actually in charge of the United States. The military has full tenure in this martial law void until this comes to a point where they then will elect or bring Trump back in as an interim, and then they'll have a new election. So there will be a new election after he comes back in and kind of resolves things for about 30 days. So we're in this perfect storm. You could be out there on a dinghy, get tossed around and complain and be afraid and scream, or you can be, as you said, Monty, just kind of chill and watch the whole show, because it is playing out exactly the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's. Go ahead, Steve.
I would
Sorry.
say it's kind of like being in the middle of a blizzard, but you're comfy in your house, but it's absolute chaos and destruction outside. So be comfy in the house. Make sure you got enough firewood and food.
Yeah, and enjoy life what you can. Where apart from people wearing masks, when I do leave the house, apart from my weekly, my daily jaunt to the letterbox, everything seems to be kind of normal. I mean, obviously, I don't talk to people because it's all peoply out there, but that's the living the dream as a hermit. But it just feels like, energetic-wise, of like, not going to really engage anymore. I'm not really following. I know President Trump has actually come out and said the impeachment's unconstitutional, so you've got that farce pantomime thing going on where, if they use the actual speech he said, look, he incited violence, and so will they skip over the sentence where you go and protest peacefully? Like Rand Paul said, it's dead in the water when it turns up, because it's just totally ridiculous. It's TD, Trump derangement syndrome on its nth degree. I mean, you got AOC saying that Ted Cruz. You got AOC saying that Ted Cruz wanted her to be killed 3 weeks ago, and everyone's like, "Girlfriend, you need to lay off on whatever you're taking." Steve, and then Viking, please.
He never said protest either. He just said, now go in peace, go home in peace, right? It was very interesting. The tone of voice, the energy, the soft, like, I think the end of that January 6th speech is kind of what set the tone.
But I'm referring to the speech. Yeah, but they won't bring that up though, because they're going to use the speech at the rally, which apparently that's the evidence. I did the bunny easy.
right now, with the exception of the people that are a little too obsessed with the with basically just living under the pretenses that no worries, Daddy Trump is perfect, and let's just hang tight. For a lot of people, there's a deep like retrospective on things because like every single person that had faith in Trump, they know that that was really dead wrong, and we knew that he had evidence that we hadn't seen yet, but we knew that he could produce it. And unfortunately, like, he couldn't even, like, he had to play this so close to the chest that they had to do the right thing first, so it's that frustration because you're not sure, like, well, what if he had, like, demonstrated a stronger standard of evidence before going into the hearing, because he didn't get the hearing right, and so he didn't play that right, and we have to believe that was the poker move, right? It's just like he wasn't he went all in, as Bruce loves to say.
Yeah, Viking.
Well, he's got a whole new legal defense team hired, and they're already in their chambers mapping out their stratagem. The whole thing went down. They have date stamps where it went down 15 minutes even before his speech ended. I mean, this is such a fallacy, and I think what's going to happen here, what I'm seeing, is Trump's going to turn it against them. He's going to use this as a platform to literally expose and go further into their treachery. They're shooting themselves in the foot, man. They're absolutely stupid. I mean, I'm not even sure where they're going to have this hearing. I mean, it's like the whole damn place is locked down. It's like there hasn't been anybody in the White House for 11, 12 days, surrounded by a fence and the military. And, he's doing his pantomime in some fake Oval Office in Hollywood on Castle Rock. And it's like this whole thing is so ridiculous. They're scared shitless. They know something is afoot. He's been quiet. It's going to come out like the gates at a horse race. The horses are all frothing and sweating, and it's gonna just bolt when they finally open the gates here, the floodgates. And it's just such a, again, with the silver, the way silver has been absolutely attacked by these deplorables. They're calling these people financial terrorists now. They're doing exactly what the hedge fund managers have been doing for years, and they basically took the other side of the coin, and now they're terrorists. And when this finally washes out, and go back to gold standard, and we get a new currency, and then the Jassara and then the Sara will be released, and silver and gold will be in its true position. We're looking at weeks here, guys, not months or years. It's like we're very close. And again, March 4th is the target date for this whole thing to culminate. So this whole month is going to be just an absolute battlefield, which is going to be a slaughter on the Dems' behalf. They're not going to make it.
It just reminds me of the Mel Brooks film, History of the World Part 1. Sire, the peasants are revolting, yet telling me. And that's what it was. That whole thing of like, basically the GameStop thing is they did the same play as the banks have been doing for almost centuries, and because they figured it out and it didn't work in their favor, the banks are crying foul, basically. And it's just
it showed a lot of people, that people, if they band together like that, can get stuff done. They can do it. They're not. It all depends on where they're putting their money. It doesn't matter what people are selling. It's what people are buying off that.
And that's what's scaring the shit. That's what's scaring the shit out of them, is that they know that if it can be done in this case, why can't it be done down the road? Or just every time.
Yeah, more so with everything.
Exactly.
The company had quite an appropriate name for having this event have a defined message. It was because actually there's two companies, GameStop, right? GameStop. We've been talking about the last 4 years that we're in a simulation, and before that we were talking about the Matrix as a whole, which is really just a way, which is just a cyberpunk way of explaining the electric universe. But the simulation, which is the principal thought programs that run on the surface template of the Saturnian energy, that is being deeply affected by Pluto, as well as the shifting of things into Aquarius. I'm not getting really astrological here as much as I'm saying that you've got GameStop, meaning like we're talking about the end of the simulation, the end of that illusion. This is all, reset. You're resetting the game, the great game reset. And then what's the other one? AMC. That's AMC, I believe, is American Movie Classics. AMC is, I believe, owned by a very, very powerful Chinese general.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the same AMC as the movie theaters.
Yeah, no, sorry.
I'm not following. Is AMC the same as GameStop? Was there a scenario that played out the same as what
they bought shares in GameStop and AMC at the same time?
Yes, AMC was also hedged. AMC was also hedged
because over the last 12 months, cinemas have been shut down, and so the companies are slowly dying because they haven't got revenue, and they were slowly dying anyway because of the way Hollywood and like Disney gets 50% ticket sales, and I think after 3 weeks, they're basically being screwed, and so there's that change. We won't go down the rabbit hole, but if you look at what's happening to comic book stores, you'll hardly see any of those because they're all mum and pop stores, and also the stories in the comics have gone super woke, and people aren't buying it because comic books are there for escapism. They don't need to be. You don't want to be lectured to. If you want to share an idea or an example of example of racism, that's X-Men, which I'm sure they're going to probably change because it's got men in the title. But that's the whole premise of it back in the 60s was to show how racism is. But they didn't basically point out mutants are basically like the Hispanics and blacks, and they don't point it out. They hit it all in allegory, and that's the problem with storytelling now. Instead of actually having a good story where they allow you to think, you can almost see both sides. It's basically 7-year-olds after school special type thing where it's so dumbed down even 7-year-olds don't watch it because they want a good story.
Look, and let me tell you, man, 2018, anybody who is versed in more recent Marvel comics, the Civil War story arc, which became the Avengers, not the Avengers, became the third Captain America movie.
Civil War.
Right. That's right. The event that triggers a Civil War is one of the writers for Civil War lived in Stamford, Connecticut. This is the city next to Greenwich. So he was inspired by Stamford, and so he set the terrorist event by a particular mutant named Nitro, who can make himself explode, and then he can bring his molecules back together. So he has Nitro kind of make like a near atomic bomb explosion of like a serious like municipal center or something in Stamford. And in the rubble over there's a sign for a comic book shop from in town called A Timeless Journey. I used to go to A Timeless Journey, the same comic book shop that is in Civil War, just to go play Magic the Gathering with my buddies before they all joined Antifa. So isn't that kind of I find it ironic the way that almost became real because they went out of business in 2018.
Go ahead, Eagle.
It's just really nice how we can come to the round table and express our conscious thoughts with each other, and share, what's going on, stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Keep that positive energy moving proactively.
Yep. I think last week, 2 weeks ago, I've been at the station for 6 years. So yeah.
Hey.
It's just nice, it's a nice energy,
Yeah, of course.
Good.
Yeah, the mainstream would call us all far right, incel, Nazi phobes, ists or something, but they're wrong.
But the conscious awareness is expanding, and it's nice. I'm actually hearing some positive, proactive attitude here too. So, with a nice little touch,
But I've noticed where you have that expand, it's like I'm doing a project and it's dealing with aliens, and there's an aspect of when the main character is actually talking to extraterrestrials, and the way that they work, which you can understand, the high vibration compared to us, and you ask one question and their answer makes you think of three other questions, and I find that fascinating. As the consciousness expands, it's like, oh, I've reached this level. What's this, that? Oh, I'm tired. It's I'm sure there's an end point, but it's kind of tiring. Like, I shared a meme. I'm tired of being a participant in a historical event, because this lockdown. I didn't say pandemic. This lockdown's going to go for a while. Viking.
Well, I'm not sure if it's historical or hysterical. I think there's
both.
Fine line there.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that we're in a bifurcated reality. Since 2012, which was supposed to be the Mayan calendar, but Stephen Hawking, before he died, recalculated the perturbations of time and actually came up with the fact that the Mayan calendar actually ended in 2020. But since 2012 was a pivotal point, because we're in the 7-year junctures here, and from 2012 till 2020. Or 19 was 7 years, and then 2020 was the beginning of a year zero. It's this brand new paradigm of experience and understanding. So we're bifurcating into two realities here. And so you have this old ballpark where all this bullshit and shenanery and we're being on their puppet strings and the web of deceit and the chaos is playing out. And it's a definite ballpark, and you could be caught up in that, or you can be in this new ballpark that's starting to define itself in this new reality. We're in this transit. We're in this new reality of how we're going to be able to finally find our sovereignty, our free will, our true nature, our self-mastery, our passion of life. It's important to be diligent, be very vigilant, on guard in this vanguard movement that's taking place, because you get sucked in by all this bullshit, or you can be sucked in by the people around you, or you can be sucked in by just your own your judgments and expectations and needs and wants of your addictions and your ego. These are all 3D finite dystopic realities. But if you get into this new reality, where it's more of an infinite expression of life, it's more in the 0 point of time, you're in your passion. This is where you have to be very clear where you're investing yourself. You have to understand that there's a whole new birth. We're birthing a brand new movement here, and not to get caught up in the old, because as it dies, as it starts to disintegrate, it's gonna like do its worst, which it needs to do, because in doing such, this whole play going out to the bitter end, as I often refer to it as, needs to occur. They need to play out to the bitter end, because the more they play out, especially with this new impeachment thing that's going to happen here, more and more people are waking up. And this whole thing about this transit here, it's not necessarily spiritual. It's on all levels. It's geopolitical, it's geoeconomic, it's the dogmatic, pragmatic viewpoints of reality that we all invest in, health of the body, health of the planet. The only thing that you're required to do as a human is to wake up and to find your passion and to hold true to your integrity and to be able to start to intuit what's happening, not listening to what you were told, but start to intuit. How does it feel? What do you truly believe was going to manifest here, and how are you going to partake in this new reality? So you have to be very, very, very clear. We are bifurcating, which splitting a hat in half here, and you have to really hold true and hold fast to where you are investing your timeline.
I like what Dr. Wayne Dyer said. I wish I met him because a friend of mine was friends with him, and then I discovered his work after he passed on. I'm like, that's just great. And he said, basically, you are one thought away from the best life you've ever had. And obviously, you don't have the thought and you instantly go to that best life, but you just have that thought and make that choice, and then it sends you on a path of totally awesome. And that's how powerful we are, where you can align to the right frequencies and have the best life. I mean, it technically could be a little bit hard, but that's part of the journey and the experience. But instead of just cowering in a corner crying all the time, it's like, well, I can do better.
So one more point here, because when you're looking at thought comes out of the left side of the brain, which is the analytical male dominant force that we've been subjugated to and limited in our three strands of DNA and our three chakras. It's all about thought, and thought brings about survival and your negotiation in the survival of your addictions. Is essentially where we've been. To really move forward here, the critical aperture is vision. So you replace thought with vision, what you're seeing to be true, rather than what you're thinking and trying to get caught up in this matrix and staple in the 3D is what we have been taught. Schooling, and people have a PhD, or doctors and lawyers and politicians all know what they're talking about, right? We got to just be in lockstep in their mindset. But when you start to break away, you start to have your personal convictions, you start to have a vision and epiphanies of your attributes and what gives you joy and what gives you bliss, what gives you credence, what can you do to engage in humanity that will benefit all. This is vision. Having a vision is critical. Being able to. I'm a visionary. I've always been a visionary. I've got three companies. 25 employees, and I can't do this by thinking. It's like you every day, the challenges that arise are opportunities to move forward in a greater perspective of life.
Yeah.
So you have to look at every challenge out there as an opportunity.
Yeah, and it's not seeing is believing. Believing is seeing, which I find which is a part of the mechanic of what the reality on Earth is, where it's more about belief. And I find it interesting. Just give me a moment, Sir I, or Eagle. Steve, have you watched or heard of American Gods, the TV show?
I've heard of it, seen a few screenshots. Looks awesome. Haven't committed time to it.
Well, the main character is Odin, and I think you'll enjoy it immensely. Or unless they're disrespectful, but it's written by Neil Gaiman. He's done Sandman. He's worked on Doctor Who. He's a brilliant writer. It's 3.5 seasons at the moment. Season 3's
esque.
Yeah, so basically, maybe take a weekend if you start watching it, because you may get 18 episodes in and like, I should go to sleep. But the main sort of thing about that, because it's the gods that are the old gods against the new gods. New gods are like media and surveillance and digital, and the old gods are Odin and Queen Sheba and all them. And it's all about belief. And the only reason that the gods exist is because humans believe that they exist. And so there's like a underlying sort of hint dropping all through the series of it's belief. If you believe, it will happen type thing. So
what's it called again, Monty?
American Gods. It's really good. Really good. I lost a weekend because I watched all season 1 and half of season 2. basically.
Apparently, it's on Amazon Prime. So no, it's on Stars. It's on Stars.
Yeah, it's on Stars. So there's rude words, a lot of blood, and gods, and it's fascinating how they all interact. And Emily Browning is in it. She's an Australian. She was baby doll in Sucker Punch, if that helps anyone. So
yeah.
Yeah,
That was like the Jeffrey Epstein movie.
Well,
Okay.
apparently you can get on Prime. You don't have to pay for it.
Well, they don't pay their employees, so that kind of balances it out. So yeah,
Yes, and they suck it out. They suck it out of the U.S. Post Office too. So
yeah, and apparently because they have, it's very hard to actually get mail at the moment in the United States. Where instead of like here in Australia, it's like 1 or 2 days. It used to be 1 or 2 days, and now it could be up to 3 or 4. Then COVID hit and everyone's buying crap online, and but yeah, it could be up to 28 days in the United States to get a letter. Yay!
Yeah, I've been waiting for a package 10 days out.
Say that again, Viking.
I've been waiting for a package, a normal one. Now with Amazon, you get it in 3 days, but normal packages take about a week and a half.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. I've been averting Amazon orders, just because I try not to give people money that conspire against me.
Yeah, vote with your wallet.
So-
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I found other ways. Like I found a bunch of things I could have bought on Amazon. I bought them on HomeDepot.com instead. I got myself a new zero water filter. Real nice. No more fluoride in the tap water.
Oh, nice.
I can drink without spending a fortune every day at the gas station.
Someone actually tweeted, everyone, you like what happened at GameStop. Imagine if everyone stopped using Amazon for a week.
Right.
That would take them down.
Yeah, that's the power we have, ladies and gentlemen. Like, vote with your wallet. Like, I can't remember which show I was on, basically saying don't buy anything from China. But I only get my Transformers. You don't have to. It's not like when you become a vegan and it's like I won't touch meat. Try and don't buy 93% Chinese then.
Well, the one industry that's got us by the cojones, unless we become a very, very disciplined people, is the food industry, right? Grocery stores in particular. So you have to be careful about them, right? Like Amazon, like those are easier lacks, especially because there's alternatives to Amazon in particular, which I highly recommend people try to remember that there are and spend the extra buck because it's a lot less money going to China. The other point is that you want to get yourself out of the position where you're forced to deal with certain things, right? I while I was being the mask rebel for most of 2020, I was I had to circulate between like 3 or 4 different grocery stores, just so I wasn't overstaying my regularity, because unfortunately where I am, there isn't enough of an impetus of that level of social rebellion. So there isn't like trends of people arguing with masks. I'm quite the alien in that respect compared to other places, right? So grocery stores, think about your discipline as an eater, because you may need to end up boycotting aspects of food.
Or, as the Northern Hemisphere is coming into spring, start a vegetable garden, plant some food and do it that way. There's so many options.
Yeah, I canned over 800 jars last year.
If you get a couple of plants going, like a couple of tomato plants or whatever, pretty soon you've got more than you can eat. You know, it doesn't take much.
No, I've been told by my mum I'm getting tomatoes because they won't eat all of them. So 800 jars. I don't think they're all for you, are they, Viking?
No, I share and trade. So all those extra tomatoes, dry them, turn them into sauce, make salsa. That's one of my main ingredients I can is tomatoes, and I made a beautiful Rojo Verde last year, which was roasted jalapenos and tomatillos with tomatoes and onions and garlic. And
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and I grew corn, so I have a corn salsa, and then I have a crushed tomato and a marinara and pizza sauce and a Bloody Mary mix. So it's like so much you can do with tomatoes, and then drying them. I dried probably 5 pounds of dried tomatoes. That's equivalent to 50 pounds or something. So the sun, and I do pickles every year. But what I use for pickling though is zucchinis. Amazing pickle, and because I know zucchinis you get a plethora once you put in about 4 or 5 plants. You got everybody trying to deal with their zucchinis. I just make them into pickles, and I still have apples on my tree. I've got this green apple that is still got about 100 stuck in the tree. I'm going to harvest them and make vinegar, so apple cider vinegar. So it means like just start getting creative with the foods around you. I mean, I was doing abandoned persimmon trees. I was harvesting them, pureeing them, and making fruit leather. I mean, there's so much that you could do with food and preparation, and I've got enough food to last an army for about 2 months, man. I'll tell you, it's like just have to be in that mode.
Super cool prepping it to trade of your surplus too. I mean, all the time you're not going to be maybe under control of how much a plant is going to yield, the kind of thing. But when things do go more, just keep jarring them, I guess, because someone can use them and find someone to trade with. How do you find people to trade with? Just people you know already with farms or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Just people around me, my neighbors. We all have I have eggs, they have goats, and so I'll get goat cheese from them, and I'll get potatoes from next door here, and it's kind of like an enclave. You just got to find yourself an enclave. And I'll tell you though, here in the States, last year, you cannot find a canning jar. People were so into canning and gardening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fortunately, I have a stash of about 3,000 jars, so I'm good. And I bought 1,000 lids on eBay, so I'm set for another year. But that's another thing. Right now, you just got to be very prolific in finding your jars. Craigslist, going to thrift stores, and just any way you can start stockpiling jars and lids, because when it comes to be May and June, they're gone. They cannot keep the stores stocked. They were actually. You couldn't find a jar or lid for 3 months. So just heads up for people in the States if they're canning.
I want to change subjects real quick. So if anybody wants to comment on the tomatoes, let me know. Because
is this about the article that you just found?
Yes.
Yeah, it's read it out. It's crazy.
This is fun. Viking, you're going to like this. Monty, you're going to like this. Dubai has announced the creation of a space court in order to settle off-planet commercial disputes.
Yeah, that's going to go well.
Game India put this out. Yeah, we need a space court, apparently. I mean, is that because of our own industry in space? It'll probably start that way while we're inching towards world government, for better or for worse. Yeah, but this obviously lays certain groundworks, because we're on a trajectory of, I think, 2050 being in open trade with our closest intergalactic allies.
Well, they're covertly trading now. I mean, right now you got the Enosanok from the forget which galaxy they're from, but they're on planet right now their fascination is cooking ware. Apparently, we grow the best chocolate and coffee in the universe. Our old glass, indigenous art. Almost 70% of our art in the museums are fake. They've been sent off a world. So I'm actually poisoning myself. I've got a 11,000 square foot warehouse. I've been stockpiling cast iron and glass and indigenous art with the advent that I'll be trading with them in the next 12 months. So this whole thing with open trading, I believe will occur. Again, we're in 7-year monads. This is year 0. So I'm going to say by year 7, we're going to start seeing open trading.
I just had a vision. I also have been watching a bit of Indiana Jones, so I just imagine that warehouse at the end of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where
just another crate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in here somewhere.
I was just thinking of like hoarders on a much larger scale. There's a pile of glass over here, bits of string in that corner. Here's where
if you saw my warehouse, man, I've got 500,000 pounds of clothing in a pile that's 20 by 80 by 9 feet tall, and it's ridiculous. I've been kind of stockpiling. Exactly that. I'm hoarding.
They need you to factory line their bodysuits.
Well, there's actually one of the I forget which race, but there is they called the Belters, as you would see in this. There are slave colonies out there that are under the Nazi consortium that are mining, and they're going to be freed here in the next I'd say 10 to 14 years. They're going to be, but they're going to be needing just simple things, just glassware and forks and clothing and furniture. And so I'm sort of thinking ahead, in how I can interface. And there's different planets out there that are, not necessarily advanced as ours, that we can trade with. That they would love to have. One of the hot items out there is the vinyl records. They love our vinyl. It's a huge trading commodity. I've got about 7,000 vinyl records I've been collecting. So it's like it's going to be a whole new world as far as trading goes.
Do the Belters have kind of strange anatomy, which would lend themselves to custom clothing, or what's going on?
No. The Belters are basically humans that have been abducted, and there's several generations now. So they've been populating, but they're humanoid.
Just think The Expanse. Watch The Expanse, and that will give you
exactly. That's the show I was trying to refer to as The Expanse.
Yeah.
I just find their low tech interests, fascinating. They're interested in such basics. It's like, it's like which alien race is going to have the losing Super Bowl team T-shirts?
It's no different. It's no different than looking, being interested in tech, like 40 years ago, 60 years ago. Like, for me, if you actually want like a decent toaster, you got to go back to like the 1940s technology, because they still have not come out with a better toaster than the Sunbeam.
Yeah, and also you could probably get something from the 40s because they built them. Most of the products you've got in the 40s and 50s, you would get buried with them because
built to last. Then they realized you can't make money that way.
Yeah,
and that's one of my genres. Is I collect appliances from the 40s and 50s. I've got blenders and toasters and they're actually pretty cool too. And their design, they're built to last. But it's like they're gonna even the races that have replicators and can replicate. I was talking to a couple of races about this, and they were saying that they actually like to go old school and cook their food over a flame. And there's garden planets out there where they go camping, and they like our camp gear, and they like our cast iron and our picnic baskets, and I mean they're pretty much well, we're one of the most diverse cultures in the universe. I mean, the fact that we have, I mean, I'm talking to a race last week, and they have a drum, and they have a bell, and they basically have this kind of mono music culture. I mean, look at the music that has come through our planet in the past 500 years. I mean, we blow their minds with our multiplicity, and our cultural diversity is unfounded anywhere in the universe. I mean, these people have lived, thousands of years in this monoculture without any kind of advancement. And this is why we're here. They're counting on us to deliver these new DNA expressions of creativity that they've lost. Our passion, our emotional subtle body has been eradicated due to its complexity, but we are redefining it in its true course of nature, is having compassion, and our sexuality. It's all there. We are rock stars in their eyes, that we've made it through this with such resilience. I mean, we could have been on the streets back in March, rioting with the Antifas, but no one bought in. Everybody stayed at home and waited it through. I mean, this is such. We are such resilient race here. And they actually they said that the election on November 5th, that week, that there was a tonal quality, this resonant frequency that they heard all the way in Beta Centauria, because our planet shifted. 50% of the people have awoken. They heard it. They heard the frequency, and so that's why they were able to come and talk on my shows, because they were able. Now the energetics isn't quite as confining, because if they come down here 5 years ago, it would have like walking to a classroom with everybody scratching on the chalkboard. That's how it would have been interpreted.
Yeah.
But we are redefining ourselves as a race on this planet as we speak.
And it's interesting as well where certain people, no one listening on the call, they don't have a cell phone. Obviously, they're so backward that there's a balance between technology and spirituality. Where, like when the Europeans, the British / English, turned up here in Australia, they thought that the Aboriginals were completely dumb and subhuman and all, that arrogance, and yet they didn't invent the wheel. Yeah, but they can actually do a ceremony around a fire and travel 300 kilometers.
Song lines.
Yeah, through song. They have the spirit tech, which is slightly different. So, and I would see that happening on the planet, is where you could have Jetson reality, as we use the label, but you're surrounded for 300 miles of forest, where there is that balance between nature and technology, where if you've got a Nikola Tesla generator and a replicator from Star Trek that can create anything, you don't need to have an oil refinery, if that makes sense, where you can have vast tracts of land and total nature, and you live in harmony again. Like, can you imagine the Aboriginals who were caretakers of Australia, and they the British turn up, and one of them has an Aboriginal takes a shot on their phone, and that's the only technology they have compared to everything else. Which I think they do.
Stealing their soul with photography.
No, the Aboriginals take a photo of the English and freak them out.
Oh, the other way around.
Yeah.
You think they'd still be thinking, I'm stealing this guy's soul, he doesn't...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, the invasion would have moved faster. It's like, look at this tech. But the Aboriginals, instead of using a USB stick, flash drive, that little thing that, like a mini hard drive that has about 18 names... But through certain spirit technology, Aboriginals can use certain rocks that holds information. It's the same premise. It's just from a different point of view. And
I think after Star Wars came out and they had that scene in it, Quickless changed the data and they pulled that kind of crystal out as like a hard drive, where the Padawan training kind of place. There was a story where people had started then looking into using that as a hard drive.
Yeah, which is really weird. If you look back 100 years ago, a radio was called a crystal set, because they actually had a crystal that used there's an aerial to use the frequency and bring it out. And so if you've you're bored and want to look at this, you can look at basically just before World War One, because things got a bit nutty around then. But before then, before 1914, I think, look at the technology that was known and that was built there. Now, it wasn't worldwide global. I mean, you've got Tesla, Nikola Tesla's stuff. But I've seen a photo of an electric car in Japan in 1911. And this is where you can see the controlling element. Certain people have decided, no, humanity goes this way. Imagine if we had that free market and critical thinking and everyone was nice. We would have had electric cars for a century. It would be crystal. Like the old days of Atlantis without all the crappy bits.
Well, yeah, this is like we've got all sorts of, it's kind of like a dual-edged sword, right? It's like on one hand, we were robbed of having all those nice things. On the other hand, we were a species that had a really petty reason to start the Great War and then suffered the Spanish influenza because we endured such a war. And then, imagine having those beefs and like giving you the next level of gun.
Yeah, but the thing with World War One was that because there was all these treaties, it started out as a civil war in Europe. But Ferdinand, an archduke got assassinated by a terrorist group, which I think was connected to the Rothschilds, and it just all collapsed in on itself, and everyone believed the leaders. So, sorry, I take things personal. It was like, oh, mankind did this. It was like, I did not. Sorry, it's my problem. I know I have to let it go.
The Great War. Well, the Great War was the war that ended the monarchy as a way of civilization in Europe, and it had a lot to do with how the Industrial Revolution was shaping the minds of men and changing their attitudes towards violence, especially because violence had become socially distanced because there was a lot less swords and spears, and it was all pew 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 across great distances with advanced forms of rifling and machinery. And so my point is that you give people all that fun stuff, Monty, when they're really, really interested in going along with the narrative of because I'm sad because that man got shot over there, and it's in contract that if I say I'm sad, we all got to kill each other. And everybody's like, yeah, we finally get to kill each other. Like, you have to understand, people were excited. People were amped up.
Yeah, for about the first 3 weeks. And then, but if I may, we're coming up to the end of the show. All right, keep going. It
was like being an anti-masker in 2020.
Yeah, but the thing is, you had the whole thing basically of honor and cowardice, and so it was a different mindset where the English... the British Army would shoot cowards because you had to go and fight and die for your king and country.
Oh, listen, they had honor in their hearts, like in the conduct of the war, but at the end of the day, they failed to learn a lesson about what these wars are really about because
they didn't know.
They were fine. They all had a culture of like, and Germany's my enemy because he is my enemy. That kind of thing.
Yeah, because
like
of
Russia. Russia is our enemy because he's our enemy.
Yeah, right? Basically, there's a small, it's a small group of people. It's a small group of it's the same playbook from 100 years ago, 400 years ago. People are waking up to it. We are at the end of Planet Collingwood. That was an interesting 2 hours. I have no idea what I'm going to call this episode, but you'll have to find out on YouTube. Wafer Thin Entertainment, and all my links are there, including PayPal, if you choose to give me money so I can buy cigarettes and I don't strangle the cat. I will be back in 6 days and 22 hours. Let's see. Let's start with Viking. Would you like to let people know where your show is on?
So it's Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Studio A. It's the Galactic Interstellar Council, down the rabbit hole galactic perspective. Topic to this week will be the bifurcations and the in this timeline collapsing into this new reality, this new paradigm. So we'll be discussing that further.
Oh, awesome. Steve, Mr. Zerilath, bit of a hint, bit of foreshadowing. How can people find you?
All right, man. My favorite preferred places to find me are on YouTube, Zerilath, Zerilath, and Zerilath on DLive, dlive.tv/Zerilath. And from there, you can also see various links, especially on DLive, to my other social medias. And I like to put little videos out.
Oh, cool. Eagle Eye, where can people find you, sir? Not near his microphone. Fair enough. Cortek? Eagle. Wait. I heard Eagle.
I can be found in the nest, flying above.
Okay.
Which is it?
Awesome. I love it when the tab kicks in. Cortek.
I'll be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
Thanks for you guys.
And Mr. Z in the background. Can people just find you in your snow?
Yeah, Charlie too.
I can find John Z and a Charlie. Right. Okay. I'm not sure what that means.
Great show, everyone.
Yeah. Can we lobby for after hours?
Yeah, I guess. Oh, well, are you a host or not?
Yes, I am of some sort, I believe.
So you can't commit. Okay. Sort of, maybe. If you want to keep going, you're most welcome. But I'm going to sign off for Planet Collingwood because I'm tired on most levels.
Cortek.
I'm going to make some tin as well.
Steven, how are you?
I'm going to hit myself off as well. Thank you so much, Monty.
There you go. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Thank you, ball boys. Thank you, linesmen, lineswomen. I hate tennis. It's boring. It's just showing off. So I think you'll be on your own, Eagle. So I don't think it would work out well. So you have been listening to Revolution Radio, Studio A. This is Planet Collingwood. We'll be back in 6 days and 22 hours. Remember, everyone, you're awesome. You just need to figure that out. We'll see you next week. See you, everyone.